Good evening, everyone. Randy Weir, author R. Weir here. Hope everyone's having a good week. Bringing life to characters. We're back this week after a couple of week layoff, and I'm going to bring my guest up now. And this is his second one today, so we'll see how his voice holds up. Seth Voorhees is with us. Hi, Seth. How you doing?
I am doing wonderful, thank you. That intro reminded me of the movie Interstellar. I got kind of in the groove there. I enjoyed it very immensely. But I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, appreciate you coming on. Yeah, that's the stock music that comes with this EV software. Make sure you got to use something legal. Don't want to get in trouble.
Absolutely. Yes, understand. Understand. Still great.
Well, tell us a little about yourself. I'm glad you're going to be on the show with us. But give us a little important information, the great facts that people need to know about you.
The great facts. Well, yes, I'm a author in the Black Hills. I live in Black Hills of South Dakota. I call myself a dark fiction author, and the reason for that is because my books incorporate all parts of genres like thriller, mystery, horror, all sorts of other genres. I just like to pull in, so that's why we characterize as dark fiction. I have some books that could be characterized as horror, and then some as just mystery, and I have a little historical fiction in another. But yeah, I basically write dark fiction, and I also just love to write in general, even if it's not books. That's one of the great coping skills when I'm not doing other things in life like fishing. I love to fish. I'm so glad spring forward is coming, and that means the days will get longer and I can go fishing. Nothing better than fishing and reading a book at the same time. That for me is peace and serenity. I don't even care if I catch a fish. It's a bonus. But yeah, to be able to sit by the lake and read a book is just, I can't wait. It's been a long winter.
So you can do that split mind where the book you're
Yeah.
watching the poll and reading the book at the same
Yeah,
time.
I have a pole and a holder, and I always put the holder in front of me, and I'll just sit there and read. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. There have been some very funny times where, like, I'll be reading the book, and then in the corner of my eye, I see my pole flip all the way over, and thankfully, it's in a pole holder, and the pole holder stops it from going into the water. There's actually been a few times last summer where it actually did go in the water, and I had to like drop my book on the rocks and there or the sand, and I had to go into the water and catch my pole. Unfortunately, the fish got away, which is annoying. It's like, if you're gonna go through that much effort, at least catch the fish. But
Yeah.
it's all right. But yeah, oh yeah, I love it, I love it. And if I can't fish, I go on hikes, and I love nature. Nature helps me, just not just creative wise, but just mental health, spirituality. Because I'm a very spiritual person. I love nature. So
Yeah, the Black Hills of South Dakota is very much like the mountains here in
yeah,
Colorado, where I live and stuff. Beautiful. You got a lot of the lodgepole pines and
yeah.
a lot of It seems to be a little wetter there than here in Colorado. But I know we were
Yeah.
talking beforehand how you guys are going through the same horrible drought that we are right
It
now.
is ridiculous right now. Yeah, it's terrible. This was one of the I can't remember a year where it's been this dry and warm. It seems like every year it's getting that way. So I don't know, global warming, I guess. I feel like it's true. I don't give in to the theories where they say it doesn't exist. I'm like, no, there's something to it because yeah. But no, I love Colorado. It reminds me of when I visited Estes Park and I stayed at the Stanley Hotel
Oh yeah.
um, for a little while. It was fun. It was really fun
Did
seeing
you get
how it
the
is.
haunted room?
I didn't get a haunted room, no, but I did wander around and I stayed in the older part of the hotel. And you definitely could see how it influenced Stephen King and The Shining. You definitely, yeah, it was fun though. I enjoyed it very much. I have a little bit of a height issue, so I don't love heights. Makes me nervous. So I did try to brave going through. It was like a loop that took you through the Rocky Mountains,
Sure.
and I couldn't get all the way. I will admit, I had to eventually turn around. What bothered me the most was there was no guardrails. So you were driving on a road with no rails, and you're looking down, and it's so far down. I'm like, okay, no, we're done. My body starts shaking. I'm like, all right, we gotta. So the next time I visit the Rockies, someone else needs to drive, and I need to just be like in the back seat with a book. So when I get nervous, I can just kind of multitask. So
So is this Rocky Mountain National Park you were driving through, maybe?
yes,
There's some very
yes,
narrow areas there, and yes, there's not a lot of.
yes.
And you're getting to 12,000 feet if you go all the way up to the top there. So
I didn't get to the top. I don't know how far I made it, but I mean, I got further than I thought I would. But yeah, my body started getting a little shaky, and I was like, all right, we're done. We're we're turning around. I've had enough.
So you talked about the Black Hills of South Dakota. It's beautiful. So how long have you lived there? Is that where you've lived your
I've
whole life?
I've lived for the majority of my life. So I was born in a small town called Spearfish, South Dakota, and it's right in the middle of the Black Hills. For those who've never visited, it's near Sturgis. Very beautiful area. And then I lived in other parts of South Dakota throughout my life, and then eventually I moved back to the Black Hills. So it's been, majority of my life. I'd say at least, yeah, minus 6, 7 years. Yeah, I mean it's a beautiful area. Yeah, it's hard to not appreciate it. Whenever I travel for work and I go to other areas, it's fun to visit other locations and other places in this country. But still, you get back home and you're like, yeah, it's I got to appreciate what I have because it's very beautiful. It's very very beautiful all year round. Even when it's cold, it's there's beauty in the cold. You just have to be positive and look for the positivity in everything.
Well, I've grown up in four season weather my whole life. I grew up in Iowa and went to Colorado and stuff. And to me, I like the changes all the time.
Hmm.
When you get them, this
Yeah,
year we haven't
when you
really
get
had
them,
much of it.
I say we didn't really have our winter here has lasted like 2 days. We've
Yeah,
had 2 days of winter, and the rest has been a really weird warm fall. It's like okay, it's been odd.
maybe it'll show up in June this year. Huh? You
That's
do
probably
get snow
well,
in June
yeah.
occasionally there.
March and April we usually get snow, so yeah,
Yeah.
that's when it'll do it. It'll do it when you're feeling the need to go outside and you're tired of being cooped in. Then it'll snow. The teasing time of year is what I call this time of year. Makes you think it's going to be nice, but nope, snow.
Yeah, we stay in Spearfish when we do the South Dakota event in the middle of June in the campground there.
Yeah.
But my mother-in-law, my wife's parents come with us, and it comes to like a family thing. But
Yeah.
she loves the fish hatchery that's there
Oh
in
yeah,
Spearfish. If every year she says, "I want to go there. I want to feed the fish and see
of
them all and
course.
stuff." So,
You have to do that, and you got to feed the. Well, I don't know if they allow you to feed the ducks anymore. They might not. But
yeah,
yeah, the fish
well, the
hatchery
ducks,
is.
you throw it in the water, the ducks will fight the fish
Well,
for it. So
they'll eat it.
sometimes you get it. Yeah,
Yeah, no, that's a. Yeah, it's gone through a lot of great changes. I remember when they first updated it when I was little, and because there's that underground part, where you go down
right.
and you can see. Because I remember the fish hatchery before that was even built, and when I remember the first day they finally opened it, and they did a class field trip, and we all went down there. And we were like, oh, it was just amazing. We're all wide-eyed
Well, there's so
children.
many, and they're so big. And
Yeah,
the few years a couple years, this last year was pretty good. The few years we've been there, there's so much algae on the glass you can't almost even see through it. Last year,
yeah,
they must have cleaned it before we got there because you could see them all. It was just incredible how many fish there are. And
yeah. Someone might have complained, and they're like, "All right, let's clean the thing, clean it."
yeah.
But it was fun. And then there's that tour of the house. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a pretty cool house too. There's a tour you can do. Yeah,
Is it a haunted house?
I don't think it's haunted. No,
Because
not a
they
lot
have
of
some
haunted.
haunted ones. They have the haunted ones in Deadwood that you can
Deadwood,
do a
yes.
tour.
Yeah, a lot of haunted stuff in Deadwood. Not Spearfish though. I don't believe. But yeah, Deadwood's pretty well known for haunted. In fact, actually, I read a book on South Dakota hauntings. I'm not going to mention the name or the author or anything like that. But I was kind of disappointed because they didn't have the Bullock Hotel in the
Yeah,
book. In the book, I'm like, how do you not have that one? I'm like,
yeah.
that had an unsolved mysteries episode. I remember when I was a kid, like the old one with Robert Stack, the old unsolved mysteries, because we were all just in South Dakota flipping out, just going, "Oh my God, we're going to be on Unsolved Mysteries, South Dakota!" So we all had to watch it because it's South Dakota. We're never on anything national, so
Right.
yeah, they did a good job too. It was like, yeah. I've stayed in the Bullock Hotel. I never experienced a ghost, but in the hotel, I did. As a child, our house was actually kind of haunted when I was growing up as a kid. So
And did you ever determine why it was haunted? What was the history there?
we, excuse me, we figured. So our house used to be a hospital that was only for deliveries, and then it was also used to be a nursing home. So we think that's what plays a little part. So there was actually a few interesting stories. First one was my mom telling us about one of the owners who told this really creepy story about she was reading a book and she was sitting in the living room and the ghost was a lady, and she looks up from her book, and the ghost is looking at her, and she's pointing towards the bedroom, her bedroom. So she closes her book, she goes to the bedroom. The lamp had caught the curtain on fire, and half the wall was on fire. And so the ghost saved her life. And so I remember that story. And then there's two things that happened to me and my siblings. One was whenever I was home alone, the radio would come on and off at times. And I just first it creeped me out, but then I was like, well, whatever. If the ghost wants to listen to the radio, whatever. And then I remember when my sister was really little, she had one of those big vanities that has the big round mirror, And I remember her screaming one night, and we asked her next morning, like, well, what were you screaming about? And she said she woke up, the ghost lady was in front of the mirror brushing her hair. Yeah, so stuff like that. Yeah. It's fun. The house isn't there anymore. It got torn down and new house is built over it. But I always get really tempted when I drive by just to knock and go, so is the ghost still there or did it leave? I don't know. But yeah.
It's like Poltergeist, right? They built it on
Yes.
top of an old cemetery or something. Huh?
Right, exactly. Yeah, it was fun.
So the ghost and the radio. What music did the ghost like to listen to? Was it anything in particular?
No, usually it was always country, but it's Spearfish. There, that this part of the country, most stations are country music, so there's not a lot of variety. So I don't know. Maybe the ghost didn't know how to pick. I don't know. It's usually Bible, country, or classic rock. Those are the three stations. And Ghost probably didn't want to listen to the Bible. I would assume. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't assume.
So you share the same last name as Friday the 13th,
Yes,
Jason. So are you
I
two
do.
related?
We're not related, actually, and I got to always tell people it's actually it's Dutch. It was Van Voorhees, and then when we came to Ellis Island, they got rid of the Van.
Oh, okay.
So that's how it became Voorhees. Yes, but I do like to joke about it. I remember in the early days of Facebook, that's how old I am, not to totally age myself, but when Facebook first originally came out and you could only be on it if you were a college student, I remember having a site, and every time it was Friday the 13th, I'd always say, like, happy birthday to my cousin Jason. Oh, I remember our childhood days at the lake, the way you would chase the girls and the way they'd, it was just weird Monty Python kind of sarcasm, that satire. And yeah, a lot of people got a kick out of it. So absolutely.
So did you ever put on a goalie mask?
Oh, absolutely. You have to at least. I had to at least once. Yes, I did for Halloween. I don't know. Yeah, a long time ago. Absolutely. Yeah, and then I had to become a dark fiction author. So I'm like, what else am I going to do with that last name?
That's right.
I mean, come on now. Can't be a stockbroker Voorhees. I mean, I could, but that they might be like, what kind of stocks are you selling, Mister Voorhees? Oh, just sounds more great. Anything other profession just sounds more devious to have Voorhees.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, the hockey mask he wears is the old style from the old days, and the new ones now are huge and got the neck things. And
exactly.
I mean, I guess if they ever update Jason, he's going to have to update his mask. Maybe I don't know. So
yeah, no, I had the mask. It was glow in the dark, so that's what made it even better, more fun as a child. Yeah, nothing better than running around with a glow in dark hockey mask as a kid. I'm sure Mom loved it.
So you have a little bit of a background, but your background was as a social worker, right? And you dealt with adolescents, kids with adolescent issues, and sounds like a very stressful job. Is that something is still a profession that you do today, or?
Yeah, most of my profession has been working with, yes, the age range of adolescents, 10 to 19, mental health, social emotional learning issues, helping them with life skills in residential setting and education setting. I still work with youth. Right now, I'm more from the educator role where I facilitate certain grant related curriculums, and I go into facilities or schools and teach the youth, or I teach those facilities staff members into the curriculums. So a lot of training and education right now, which is fun. I love it. It's really good. Like you said, yeah, it was stressful. That field is, and but it's rewarding if you know how to look for the rewards. I've learned over the the years you have to pick your rewards. They're very small, very few in between. If you go into the field wanting every day to be like a Hallmark commercial where every day someone wants a hug and you solve their life and the world's problems are solved and every day is a beautiful rainbow, you're not going to last long. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So But yeah, absolutely. I still do it. It's a rewarding field. And yeah, absolutely. It's what helps inspire a lot of my characters in some of my books. Yeah.
Right, and that was something I wanted to talk about a little bit too. But obviously, you said you love to write, whether it's even books or whatever else. What about
Uh-huh.
reading? Have you always been a big reader, and who have been some of your
Uh,
influences?
um, so the interesting thing about me is so I started reading and writing young. When I fell in love with Goosebumps. For those,
Goosebumps.
I know, see, I'm doing hopefully all the millennials watching are like, yeah, Goosebumps, Friday the 13th. Yes, so I started writing and reading at that point. I actually wrote my first short novel when I was 18, my senior year of high school. Then I got into college. I took a little bit of a break from a lot of reading and writing, and I picked it back up seriously in 2015 is when I picked it all back up and started writing again and picked up reading more often. But yeah, you need to read and write. I say all the time as an author, I like to think of my imagination as I like to compare it to the body. You know, we have to eat food and get exercise to take care of our body. And so for our imagination, reading and writing is the nutrition and the exercise. Writing's exercise, reading's nutrition. So absolutely, I read as much as I can. It's needed. And also it's just fun. I like to get immersed in stories and to get taken out of reality because we all need a break from reality once in a while in life. And I also get a feel of what authors do, and there's some you can learn a lot from bad writing just as you can from good writing, and you can learn. I love to study dialogue, especially in writing, because you know I always want to make sure all of my characters don't sound like me, a Midwestern man. I noticed when I first started writing my very first book, which was Immune, and the first time I reviewed it, all of the dialogue had those Midwestern slang like so or oh or just and yump to, or the classic well I guess, the yeah. So it's like, okay, not everyone's from the Midwest, Seth. You gotta not write like that. So yes, I do read, and I love to read. So yeah, in the beginning, Goosebumps, and then I went to Stephen King a little bit as I got older. Nowadays, I read so many different genres and fiction. I would say sometimes nonfiction actually inspires me the most. One book, it's called Roosevelt's Secret War, and it was about the beginning stages of, I believe it was the SOS, which eventually became the CIA. They were kind of the founding for the CIA later after World War II ended, and that inspired a lot of stuff in my very first or my second novel, Immune. A lot of one of the characters, the secondary character named Helen, and she winds up taking over an organization that replaces the CIA. So I had a lot of that book's influence, as well as it was called Legacy of Ashes, which is another book about the history of the CIA. If you've never read it, both of them were really great books, and they inspired me a lot. So yeah, I'd actually say nonfiction does more than fiction sometimes. Yeah, nowadays I love, if I do read fiction, Jennifer McMahon right now is one of my favorite authors. She does, I don't know, she does characters so well. She does plots really well. Her pacing. She's actually had scenes that have given me more chills than other horror books. Like she's just, I recommend everyone to read her books. She's definitely one where I don't even need to know what the book's about. When it comes out in the bookstore, I'm like, I'm buying. I don't even need to know. I don't even care. She could probably write a cookbook, and I would be like, all right, let's see what you do. How do you make a scrambled egg? Let's see. In the world of Jennifer McMahon.
So you mentioned that first book you wrote when you were 18. Did it ever get published, or is it sitting in a drawer
No,
somewhere?
it never got published. It is sitting in a drawer. Once in a while, I think about it, but no. When I eventually, like I said, I took a break, and then when I got back into it, I went back. I had to. I hate to date myself again, but I had to take it off the floppy disk and put it on a flash drive. So a floppy disk. Remember those? Um,
A true floppy of
oh
5 1/4 or a
yes.
3.5?
Oh, it was probably the 3.5, maybe. I
Yeah,
don't remember now. But
we
anyway,
still called them floppies, but really
yes.
the 5 1/4s were the ones that really. And then they even had bigger ones than that, like 8-inch ones before
Yeah,
that.
see, this was the small one, I think. So this
Yeah,
was right
three and a
before
half.
flash drives. But no,
Yeah,
I looked at it and I read it, and it was decent, but oh yeah, there was so many run-on sentences, and like different perspectives were all in one paragraph, and
yeah.
yeah, you had no separation. I mean, maybe if I really wanted to, I'd go back to it, but no, it's just sitting in a drawer. It was a good beginning. That's what I always say. It was a good start.
Oh yeah, I mean, I got three over here in a safe somewhere that
Oh
never
yeah,
seen the light of day too. And every now and then, yeah, I go back and look at it too, and
yeah.
get a
I have
good
a
chuckle.
yeah, I have a folder on my laptop just full of small stories and short stories and the stuff I started and never finished, which is okay. I don't think you have to be inspired every day when you write, as long as you write something. I tell people all the time, if the days I have no creativity or I'm not have a project, I'll just maybe like do something with the alphabet. I'll say like A is for absolutely nothing to do right now. I'm just bored sitting at my desk, absolutely bored, blah, blah, blah. B is for boredom. Why not? Because I'm more bored. I have nothing to write, and I'll just go through the whole alphabet until I get my word count or something like that. Yeah. You don't need to be inspired every day. Not everything has to be published, right?
No,
It's like,
I mean, if somebody will pay me for it, yeah, I'll publish it.
well,
But
yeah.
yeah,
I
what
mean, if
else?
yeah. I always
But
tell people all the time, if you want to fund me, I will gladly write whatever you wish. I mean, yeah. I've yet to find that funder though. People apparently don't want to fund books. Apparently, I don't know. Maybe I just haven't found the right person. If anyone who's listening live, they know a funder, just let me know.
so you you obviously you said you kind of like to read and fish at the same time, and
Oh yeah.
I'm assuming that's kind of how you is that a way for you to decompress and then do you find writing therapeutic for you as well?
Answer is both. Yes. It's to relax, to calm, get connected with nature. I'm a very spiritual person, and so being outdoors is a real gift to me, and I love to cherish that and just feel gratitude when I'm sitting on the lake. And yeah, it does help me unwind, get away from the stress of all. Now, if a fish gets away, then I might be a little annoyed for a moment, but still.
Plenty
But
more
yes,
in the Wolf Lake, right? Yeah.
right, absolutely. But yes, writing is very therapeutic as well. It helps clear my mind, get rid of the thoughts, whatever's going on in whatever situation. Absolutely. There's times where I don't sleep great. I don't know if I have a little insomnia, or I might, but yeah, there's times where I'll get up and if I can't sleep, write for a little while, and that helps me fall back asleep. Sometimes the only drawback is once in a while it won't kick in until I can't go back to bed, which oh well. But yeah, so yes, it's very therapeutic. I think I always encourage everyone to do it. It's one of those hobbies where it's we all know it, but we don't do it. Like, we don't follow our own advice sometimes. At least for me, that's one of my biggest things. So I always try to follow my own advice. I know writing's good, so just do it.
And usually, if you can't sleep, is there like an idea that's kind of burning in your head and you got to get it out, or is it just really
Sometimes.
I can't sleep, so I'm just going to get up and write and whatever comes to me,
Yeah.
right? I write.
Sometimes it's an idea. Sometimes I just can't sleep. Other times, maybe I just had. I'm one of those people. I have the most vivid dreams, even if it's a good dream. They are just so vivid. And a lot of times I'll just wake up from the dream and I'll just keep replaying the dream and I'll add more to it in my brain. Like it was like a few days ago, I had this really weird dream that I was parachuting with, I don't know what you call it when you're doing it for fun, like as a group, but I was with Kevin Hart and The Rock. But we weren't just parachuting. We had weird bungee cords attached to our legs, but it wasn't bungee cord. Like trapeze artists when they have wires hooked to them so they can do flips and things.
Yeah.
We had those hooked to us as well. So while we're parachuting, I'm doing these flips in the air, and The Rock and Kevin Hart are around me, and we're going in circle. It was just the most bizarre dream. And then I'm sitting there when I wake up going, well, what could I change? What could I do? What would they made that dream better? Because that's how I always am when it comes to ideas. Like, there should have been more loop de loops. There should have been maybe there should have been a body of water below me with some alligators, some danger. So that's what I do a lot of times. So my mind's always going. That's also why I have to write, because my mind is always it's like five hamster wheels all rolling at once. I don't know.
Be interesting if The Rock or Kevin Hart had a dream with you in it, right? So
God, that'd be great. That'd be funny. You know what? I'd be honored. I'd be like, if they came out with a little Twitter post, I had a dream about Seth Voorhees. I'm framing it and putting it on my wall behind me, next to my Steelers memorabilia and King Kong, and I have a poster of Return of the Jedi, so it'll be right in the middle of there, perfect spot.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about your book. So, what was the first book that you published, and how did that process go, and how many years did
Yeah.
it take you?
Let's see. The first book was The Interim. It took about a year, I'd say, to write that one. That came out originally in 2017, I believe. The great one thing about all my books is they all came out at different times, but this summer I got the rights back to all of them. It's a long story why. And so then I republished them all this summer. And so that's why, if you look, they all say second edition.
Right,
But no,
publishing
that book,
company went out of business. I'm assuming, right? It's
one went
usually
out of
what happens.
business, one went out of business, and then the other one I just asked for the rights and they said sure. So I don't know. They just didn't care, I guess. So I was like, all right. Yeah, but yeah, one did go out of business. But yeah, this was the first book. It's a horror novel. It's straight horror. I'll tell people right now. Great story of a small town in South Dakota named Copper, and for a certain length of time in the year, it's the last, I believe, October 20th through November 1st. That's the time frame is called the interim. And what inspired that story originally was I used to always read these stories and watch these movies about cursed towns, you know? And the question always becomes, well, why do you live there? You know, if it's cursed, why do you choose to live there? And so my thought was, well, maybe the answer is what if the reason you choose to put up with it is because the rest of the year there's no crime, there's no danger, you just live in this peaceful utopia. So then it becomes how much are you willing to put up with for utopia? And so that becomes kind of the central theme of the story. And so there's 5 youth involved, and they get tired of going through this ordeal every year, and they eventually fight the monster, whose name is Leopold. And you eventually, he's part of a cursed circus, and you discover that in the history and the backdrop. And I won't give up too much, but that was my first book, and I loved it. But here's the greatest thing, because I told you how I had to get the rights back, and I republished them again. I went through it, and I could see. So I told you it was in 2016, 16 or 17 when it was released. Now 2025, and I'm going through over it again, and I could see how I've progressed over the years as an author, and the things I could have changed, but maybe couldn't change. And there were some things I adapted and adjusted, because yeah, like I said, I took a long break from writing, and I had to relearn a lot. There was a lot of things I forgot about when it came to writing books. But yeah, so that was my very first novel. So I made some changes, made some adaptations. Still one of my favorite books. I mean, all four are my favorites. But yeah, that one always has the place in my heart because it was the first published book, right? Like it's the first property that has your name on it. You know, you can show it to people and be like, "Oh, look at me!" Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So, did you consider it a major rewrite, or was it just little sections where you were just
Little
kind of
sections,
tweaking?
yeah, little tweaks. No, not a whole rewrite. If I would have done a rewrite, I didn't have. Well, I didn't have the motivation to do a rewrite. To be honest with you, I did a lot of tweaking, a lot of adjusting, some adaptations, some changes here and there. Yeah, yeah,
And did you
little.
find a new publisher, or is this self-published?
So these were all self-published. The second go around, the original publisher was another self-publishing company. Yeah, I don't know if I should say the name or not, but yeah, they were a different company. Yeah. So these are all self-published. Yes. Now my fifth book that I'm working on, that one I want to try and work on again the traditional route. So I want to work my
Did you have
way.
an agent?
I don't yet. I'm working on it. I'm working on right now. It's in the editorial phase right now with my editor. So once that process is over, then we'll
Then start
see what
shopping it
happens.
around, huh?
Oh yes, I mean I've done query letters before. My other novel, Immune, I did try to get an agent to represent that one. So it is quite a process to get an agent. It's
It is. It's definitely a struggle. I never had the patience for it myself,
yeah,
and a lot of times when they if you finally get it and someone accepts it, then they're like, well, it'll be 2 years from now is when we'll release it. So that's kind of when
right.
you have to have a lot of patience. And I'm
Yeah,
getting too old to have too much patience. So
yeah. I'm getting it. I mean, there's benefits to both being
yeah,
published traditional and self-published. There's plus and minuses to both. So I respect anyone who goes either route because writing a book is hard. Most people don't have the patience to write one period, and if you wrote
yeah.
one, good job. I mean, a lot of
So what
work.
was your second book? Was that Immune?
That was Immune.
Okay.
Yes. So, funny thing. So it is about a pandemic, and it
Before
came
the
out.
pandemic, right?
It came out December of 2019. It was
Yeah.
literally released a month or so before COVID came and exploded.
Right.
And so I don't know if that was good luck, bad luck, maybe, but this one was through another publishing company, which eventually did have some issues, and I wound up getting the rights back to it and then republished it, second edition. Kind of the same thing with the interim. I went through it again and made some tweaks, made some adjustments here and there, but it was way more completed. So I didn't have to do a whole lot. So this book is, like I said, about a pandemic. And no, The Stand. I always get asked if The Stand inspired me. It did not. What actually inspired it was, remember the swine flu back,
Yeah.
many years ago. I always wondered during that pandemic, what would it be like if you were completely immune to a virus, but yet had to watch the rest of the world fall apart? What would that feel like, just from a personal perspective, and how would that affect you, your day-to-day life, et cetera, et cetera. So immune is about that. It's about one class of people who are A positive, which is my blood type, by the way. So I didn't come up with anything real creative. I just picked mine. So A positive, they're immune to the virus, and eventually the virus, those who are being infected, go through several phases. One of them is a zombie phase. There's a little bit of it. It's not a long phase in the book, so I don't say it's a complete zombie novel. What makes this different, though, is that they come out of the zombie phase and they remember everything that happened, all the class struggles, and they eventually create their own class called the Inflicted. And they eventually take over the world and start, creating it in their own image. And they have a lot of struggles with the immune group. And yeah, it's, there's a lot of class struggles, a lot of morality and values and how we should treat each other. A lot of, what's kind of going on today and what's happened in the past. And yeah, this is the one, like I said, I pulled a lot of nonfiction stories as inspiration, like Roosevelt's Secret War, CIA, Legacy of Ashes, stories like that. Yeah. So it's definitely a thriller, dystopian novel. Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of spirituality in this one. The main character's name is Wyatt, and I have him as a recovering alcoholic. And he tries to, and that's a lot of the story, is him trying to maintain his spirituality and positivity through all of this ugliness and all this stuff that's happening.
Is he one of the immune?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yep, yes.
So what was the virus? Or did it give it a name, or did it have like a
I
number,
did. I didn't.
letter?
I
Huh.
gave it a number, and I
Yeah.
mentioned it in the beginning of the book. I don't remember the number, to be honest with
Yeah.
you, but I never gave it an actual name. They just called
Yeah.
it a virus. That's all they did. Yeah. I didn't want to give it a name other than the quick little code in the beginning.
Right.
I don't know why I didn't. I don't remember, to be offhand. And I do say Inflicted on purpose. When I first published it, someone goes, "Aren't they supposed to be called the Infected?" And I'm like, "Well, did you read the book?" And they're like, "No." And I'm like, "Well, read the book and then you'll understand why." So they say Inflicted because they had the virus. They're no longer infected of it. They just have the scars. And it was just a creative way to call their group. I was like,
Right.
it's a fiction story. People don't take it too serious.
So when you redid the books, did you also keep the covers, or did you have to have new covers created?
I had to create new covers. That was the one drawback. I had to create my own new ones, which I don't mind. But you know what? I would love to have new ones if I could find someone. I don't have a lot of good artistic friends, unfortunately. I have a few, but none that wanted to do it. So yes, I had to recreate the covers. I'm always looking to redo them though. Because I missed the old cover for Immune, especially the old cover. Because even though I got the rights of the book back, they wouldn't let me have the
Right.
cover. And oh, it was so beautiful. I'm sure someone could find it. You could find it on an old TikTok post of mine or something. It was so gorgeous. I loved it. I fell in love with it. Yeah, that's the one thing about self-publishing. You got to do everything on your own sometimes. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and finding a good cover artist. I've had three different ones through the years. The last one I have is talk about social work. She actually helps traffic
Yeah.
kids, so
Oh,
she deals in a lot of the similar stuff to what you've dealt with through the years as
yeah.
well. But and it was interesting hearing your perspective, because she told me, because it's a good day when I save one out of 100 kids. It's
Yes.
that's a day to celebrate. Because it's
Exactly.
such a battle.
Oh, absolutely. I have hundreds of stories. I'm sure we could relate. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. Maybe I need to connect you with
Oh
her.
yeah.
She lives
Um,
over in Hawaii right now and
yeah,
dealing with everything going on over
yeah.
there as well.
I
Because
remember. Do I have time to tell a quick crazy story?
sure,
Okay, so one quick. I always use this one in trainings as examples when I'm teaching facilitators. So I had this. We had this one youth had obviously had a lot of trauma issues. I'm not going to go into detail about that. And when she first got there, whenever she didn't get her way, she wound up having a lot of issues, sometimes getting restrained. And I remember, fast forward now, like 6 months later, right? And we've worked with her, we've done all this stuff, and I'm working with a coworker who's brand new. She's only been there for a year, or not even a year, sorry, a week. And I leave to go use the bathroom. I come back and she's leaving the unit, the staff member, and she's like, I can't deal with blank, blank, blank. She's a blank, blank, blank. And I'm like, oh God, what's going on? So I'm going on to the unit, like all nervous, like, oh no, no. Everyone in the group area is just sitting there nice and quiet. Everything's calm. They're all journaling. And I walk up to the client. I'm like, what happened? And she goes, I just called her a blank blank. I don't know. And I'm like, well, good job controlling your anger. I don't like that you insulted her, but I'm really proud of you for controlling yourself. High five, because
yeah,
that was progress. That was good
right.
for her. And that's what I meant earlier when I said you got to find those little rewards and the little things, because that was good for her. And she needed to hear someone say, I'm proud of you. Even though what she did wasn't the best, I'm still proud of you for doing something. Because most kids in that field, yeah, they don't hear, I'm proud of you. No one says that to them. So, yeah, so they're always amazed when an adult says, I'm proud of you.
Sounds like the worker had too high a level of
Yeah,
expectations, right?
she wanted a hallmark moment, apparently. It's like, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, believe me, that's this is a good thing compared to some of the other stuff that you probably possibly could go through
Oh,
as
yeah.
well. So what was okay? So immune. So
Oh,
what
yeah.
came after immune?
Oh, my goodness. Mid-glow came next.
Yeah,
So that one, so once again, this is one that I would say is not so much dark fiction. So this one is about a group of bank robbers. The main character's name is Philip, and it's centered around Pearl Harbor, that time frame, right around Pearl Harbor. And he eventually discovers, him and the few members of his gang, that the money they've been robbing all belongs to the same person. And the person is a European gentleman named Dr. Dragoon, and he extorts them, basically saying, you can either go to prison or you can work for me. And they obviously don't want to go to prison, so they decide to work for him. And they do a lot of small jobs, odd jobs like grave robbing and midnight drop offs and a bunch of other strange stuff. And eventually they have to figure out the mystery of, why is he here in the country instead of in Europe when, of course, it's war, it's World War II, which, of course, that, is a little bit of the drop back. And, they figure out the mystery of why he's there and what's going on and all this stuff. So that one I would say is the more historical fiction, my attempt at a mystery, my very first attempt at a mystery. I'm still trying to get better at mysteries. I'm not going to lie, it's not quite my field yet,
yeah.
but I tried my best in this one. But yeah, this one was also the same publisher as Immune, and then I got the rights back to that one and republished it as well. Yeah, and once again I missed the old cover. Oh, the old cover was good.
Yeah, it's too bad they won't let you keep the covers.
I know, because it's like, what are you going to do with them?
I know.
You
It's like,
can't do anything with them.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. And
It's
then
like, I'll
after,
give you credit. If I become a millionaire, I should just send them a letter and say, give me the old covers. If I become a millionaire, I'll give you a percentage. How about that? I'll write you a check.
so then after that was
Question 17. So that one actually didn't. I hadn't had a publisher yet. I was actually finishing it up. I had done the editorial process. I got it all done. And then while that book was finished, the other three I got the rights to. And so I just self-published that one through the same company I did for the other three, which was Ingram Sparks Publishing. And the reason I went through them is because they have the buyback insurance. For those people who don't know a lot about the industry, bookstore, the reason a lot of self-publishers don't get their books in bookstores is because they don't have that buyback insurance, which
right.
is basically for bookstores, if they don't sell a certain amount of books, they return them to the publisher. And Ingram Sparks Publishing has that buyback insurance, which is why I went through them. But yeah, question 17, another dystopian novel about the Earth 46 years after an alien invasion, and we won the war. And the main character, whose name is Corey, very educated, successful man in one of the newer countries that were formed. He gets an internship at a facility in the middle of the ocean, a little island called the Willow Lock facility. And eventually he discovers just the plan and the purpose of the island. And one of the main goals of the island is to figure out a certain amount of things about the alien invaders. And you find out in the story that when the war ended, the country that the organization belongs to, Dulles, I believe is the one, they came up with a list of like 27 questions. Like, can we duplicate their technology? Can we fly their spaceships? Can we, cross their DNA with us? Stuff like that. And question 17 is the last of all the questions to be answered. And I'm not going to say what it is because you got to read the book and find out. But eventually Corey gets tied into the mystery behind the question and working with the other staff members. Some of them are kind of good, some of them are not. And there's a lot of mystery involved with that as well. So he solves the mystery of question 17. Yeah.
So are there any connections between the four books? Or are they all basically just
None.
symbols, no
They are
characters?
all, there's not a, no. I think I might, maybe in one of the books, maybe I refer like someone's, I think in one of the books, I might have someone reading Immune. Maybe like there's a quick little reference there, but
Sure.
no. Otherwise, no.
Self-promotion, right, of your other work.
Absolutely. I've yet to really write or come up with anything where I could do a sequel. Immune, I did leave open. I've had a lot of people tell me I should write a sequel to that one.
Mm-hmm.
But I've yet to have a good idea get fully produced. And I don't want to write a story just to write.
Right.
I want to have something there. But no, so far, all my stories are their own individual entities. And, they're my own little individual pieces of my soul and heart. Once they're done, I move on to another.
So then what's next? You said you had one that's coming soon?
Yes. Well, I'm hoping soon. It's going through the editorial process right now with my editor. And once that's done, hopefully I can get it up and going. I'm hoping to have it done by the end of the year. That's my hope right now. So yes, that book is called The Cottonwood Prestige. That one I would say is more horror. Maybe a little bit of thriller suspense, but there's some horror to that one. So it's about a man around his 30s named Eugene, and he lives in or he grew up in a town, called West Carlton, Michigan. I made up the town. If the town really exists, I apologize. Sorry. I don't say anything bad about the town for the most part. But anyway, he goes to take care of his father, whose health is deteriorating, and his father also lives with his father, so his grandfather. So it's three men of the same family in the same house, and they're all members of this organization called the Albatross, who its alumni and student members have power and sway over the city, the counties around it. So it's just this very influential organization. And eventually, a few of the members, the alumni, start dying mysteriously, and Eugene gets kind of swelled up and mixed into it. And he doesn't help solve, but there's other characters. I have a detective in there. See, once again, trying to get a little mystery into that detective genre. I'm trying my best. I really am. I promise. So he helps solve the mystery of what's going on. So there's a lot of supernatural elements into it. Like I said, a little horror. Yeah. So definitely, I'm looking forward to it. I'm curious to see what happens. And then I do actually have another project I'm working on as well. Once Cottonwood Prestige is done, then I'll give that one a shot. So
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you, if you got something that you want to write
yes,
that you haven't written yet. And as an
yeah.
author, you always have little ideas. I
Oh,
don't know if you have little notebooks that you write things down when the ideas hit you, or you're
yeah.
all stored up here. But
Yeah, so I'm working on a big project right now. So after the Cottonwood Prestige, so for the longest time, I avoided that whole advice of write what you know, because I was like, well, I want to write about a virus. I want to write about a cursed town. Like I don't want to write what I know. And I eventually decided I was going to. And I had to find. It took me a while though, because I had to find a creative way to obviously change events, people, places. So I have written a novel where it is about the field. And I've taken all the elements of my life and experience in the field and put it all in this book. Trauma is very deeply rooted into it. Um, I don't want to give away a lot, but
Mhm.
but I'll give a quick premise. Basically, it's about a man named Turner who gets a job. He's going through some grieving, some family issues, his own trauma, and he gets a job in this town of Pine Water. And you find out that the whole town everyone for the most part who lives there and works there works at the facility there called the Weston Academy for Youth. And eventually you start finding out that the whole purpose of the facility is to help feed this supernatural creature who feeds off human emotions. And every emotion is like a flavor of food, and trauma is like steak. So, and then he and a few of the youth get kind of tired of it and they fight the monster. And I don't want to give away too much, but yeah, there's a lot of real elements, especially with the youth. There's 8 youth in the story, and all of them have bits and pieces of real events, real people. I got permission, of course. I know someone's going to ask, well, like, did you get permission? Yes, I did. In fact, I actually have a former client actually being a beta reader right now, just to see if I make sure I got certain things correct. But yeah, that one definitely is going to be the one story where it's like I write what I know. I'm putting like everything into it, and then I'm going to be done. Like I'm never going to do it again. I'm going to write one big good story about the field, and then I'm moving on after that.
So
So,
do you consider that to be nonfiction or fiction?
oh no, it's fiction. Yeah, it's very
Fiction.
fiction.
So you're
Well,
changing names and
I'm changing the names, places. Yeah. Now there's elements into it where it was either my life or family life, and I've had to adjust. And there's some stuff in there that there's characteristics of former clients, but I made sure to tailor it to where no one would know anything. Yeah, and that's why it took a while to write. I really wanted to respect confidentiality and all that stuff for sure. Yeah. So, and I don't know when that one's going to be released. So no, I don't know. That's still a big work in progress. But yeah, I also have little stories I'm always working. I always have some project. Yeah, I'm never not working.
So are you a plotter, pantster, somewhere in between?
Oh,
How's your writing process?
I would say I'm probably a little in between. I'm mostly pantser though.
Yeah.
I would say I'm probably 75% pantser. And usually what I do is, so I always start with just a scene, like an idea. Like maybe I have a scene in my head of some character doing this one event and something's happening. And then, so I write my words, I write the scene, I take my break. And then usually it's during that in between time, what happens next comes to me. Like I'm at work or I'm on a walk or I'm at the gym or I'm just doing something mundane. And I figure if I have a really good story, what happens next will come to me during those in between times. If nothing comes during that time, then I know the story wasn't worth continuing. Now I will take notes. If I mention a character or if I mention this detail, I'll be like, okay, well, let's remember that. So I do write notes. I don't know if that makes me a plotter keeping notes, but yeah, I really not really. Okay. Well, then I guess I'm not much.
Too, and I got my little cheat.
Yeah.
Writing down ideas as I'm writing along for going ahead.
Yeah.
But a true plotter is someone who really outlines the whole thing before.
Probably not then. Probably not then.
Yeah.
I would say, maybe on occasion, like with Immune, I had enough ideas going in my head. I maybe thought of the next 2-3 chapters.
Yeah.
And I wrote it down as notes just to remember.
Right.
But no, I've never been. Yeah, I can't. I'm not a plotter then. No, because I don't know what's going to happen. A lot of times I don't. It's not until I'm at the end writing the ending is when I know what's going to happen. Sometimes I don't even know. Yeah, I know, and I know there's authors that think that way. They're like, I have the ending in my head, and I start from the ending, and I go backwards, and I'm like, well, God bless you, because I don't have that gift or ability. So good for you. That's awesome. Yeah, no, I'm not a plotter, so I'm a pantser.
Yeah. Do you feel like the characters are in the room with you sometimes, looking over your shoulder, going, my part needs to be a little bit better or anything?
Sometimes, I would say that doesn't happen during the first draft because the first draft you're just writing for fun and hoots and whatever. I would say during my revision time. So I usually revise my story. I go over it 3 or 4 times before I send it to my my editor and some beta readers. I feel like 3 or 4 is plenty because after that I can't see what it is anymore and I don't really notice anything. But as far as the characters being in the room with me, I'd say that's during the first revision for sure. Absolutely. Where I'm just kind of going through and going, what did you write? Because you know how it is when you go through a revision, you'll read some weird paragraph and you're going, I bet I was just so full of myself when I was writing that, thinking this was beautiful, but now I have no idea why on earth I wrote this weird, what the heck? We're going to delete it. Okay, we're done. It's like, what the heck was I doing? You know?
So we're at 50 minutes here, so I got
Uh,
a few more questions to wrap up. The
yeah.
biggest one I always ask everybody on the show, bringing life to characters is the name of the show. So what is it you do to get those characters to form them and make them three dimensional and get them to jump off the page? Is what do you, what's your secret sauce if there is one?
I don't know if I have a secret sauce. I feel like I'm a person who just takes all the advice from everyone else. It starts off well with the senses for one. Like what are they seeing, hearing? Tasting is the big one too. I don't remember who I learned it from, but someone said always have taste in there. Taste is the most serious or the most is the one sense that will draw you in the easiest is taste. So always have your character tasting somehow, whether it be dust or the minerals from the ground or they're drinking a beverage or something. Always have them tasting.
Not
So
your
the sense,
zombies, though, right?
not the zombie. Well, I might have. I don't remember now. I don't think so. No, the zombies probably didn't have any taste. No, not them. But yeah, the taste, the senses, and then of course always have them doing action and not narrating all the time. I know that's a balance between showing and telling. I try to, and then I just think I try really hard to not make them sound like a Midwesterner like me. I try really hard in the dialogue to make it funny, or I try to put in a little humor, a little sarcasm here and there. I want them to sound real. Um, I try. I have a few characters like in that bigger book on the mental health field I was talking about. I have some characters in there that are native, and I know a lot of native people here in the Black Hills, and so I talk to them and say, "Hey, does this sound like something that would be more appropriate, or is this the right speech?" Sometimes you got to ask people for advice as well, and just get inspiration from them. But yeah, I don't know if that's a secret sauce, but yeah, I just try my best really, and just to make them not sound too wooden. Um, if you gotta adapt a little bit, and I do think of the people in my life, people who've inspired me, and what are their characteristics, universal at least, and how can I attach those to my characters? Yeah, for sure. I especially when I'm writing youth, I always have a youth in mind. I'm like, how would
Yeah.
they have said this? There's about two or three in my brain where I always think about them when I write about youth. I'm like, what would they say? What would they do? What would they? How would they respond? Yeah, yeah,
Well, you have a lot of experience with that, and obviously dealing with youth a lot. So that's
yeah,
a lot of that. I'm sure gets molded into your characters, like you said.
yeah.
So, do you have any aspiring advice for authors who want to be authors and get into this crazy business?
I don't know if it's inspiring. It's probably old, as everyone else said. I mean, to be a writer, you got to read a lot and write a lot. That's the one. I would say for me, the best advice is learn to love what everyone else hates. And I think that's interesting. Like people may like, yeah, do you have your certain time during the day that you write? Yeah, that's great. Absolutely. I'm a morning person. But that still doesn't mean you can't try something in the evening or do something in the afternoon. Most people hate the editing process, going through a book and having to rip it apart and tear it apart or see
Yeah.
your flaws. Learn to love it. Learn, to love the editing part. Learn to love reading books that you don't particularly love and maybe figure out, well, why don't you love them? And then you have a good book about, if you sometimes you can learn from a great book as well. Like, why did you love that book? Why did you read it so much that you didn't even think about why you loved it? Yeah, so enjoy it, learn what people don't love about the field. And that I think that goes with any field really. Learn to love what everyone else hates. Those mundane, boring things. It's okay to not have something great to write in the morning. Just write your 2,000 words. Like I shared earlier, just write your word count. Not every day has to be some great, inspiring piece of work that has to be published. Just write. You know, it's okay to say like the dog was boring. The dog was boring until you get to 2,000 words. There you go. There's your word count. Like, who cares? You're gonna delete it anyway. No one's gonna know. No one's in your space. Yeah. So that's
You'll
my
be
advice.
surprised sometimes. You sit down, and I know some days I
Well,
don't necessarily
yeah,
feel like it, and you sit down and you think, no, nothing's going to come out, and you just start typing, and
yeah,
before you know it, bang, you're actually shot out a couple thousand
absolutely.
words.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm.
So that'd be my advice.
So, what about any marketing tips? You got any good marketing tips?
Have people help you. Don't do it on your own. I
Yeah.
need a team. I need people to give me advice because I've come to learn not my humor. Some people don't like my humor. Some people don't. I'm not great with marketing, so I take advice from other people. I have a team. I don't go at it alone. I try not to anyway.
Yeah.
No, but marketing's tough. You got to stick with it. Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. But have a team because I think especially if you just go off social media and try to do it yourself, you're not going to get very far. You don't get anywhere a whole lot. At least I haven't. Um, that's what I've learned. I mean, I still do posts on social media, but there's other ways to market for sure. Get a website. People love a website. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much have to have a website of some kind these days,
Yes.
obviously for anything, and then
Yeah.
of course getting it to stand out. Do you have an ARC team that reads your books? I know you said you have beta readers and stuff.
I have beta readers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have an art team. I wish I had an art team to make my book covers. Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking. I'm still looking for it. I have some feelers in the water. Yeah, for sure. My next book I guarantee you, there is a person I do have in mind with my team. My publicist recommended, so I am definitely going that route. Yeah, it's good to have a publicist. They help with marketing as well. They help you get out there.
So what about events? Do you got the events coming up? You're going to be doing? Do you get out there and pushing the new book, or what do you got going?
Once the new book is getting going, yes, absolutely. I'll try and I'll talk to my publicist to see what I can do for some book signings. I'll probably stay in the area here first, and then maybe see how it goes. Because there's a few bookstores around here. I was gonna say I did have a signing a few months ago, in a small little bookstore. It's called Monarch Bookstore, local here in Rapid City, and that went pretty well. Actually, I enjoyed it. Nice little. I know the owners. The bookstore is very nice. We just got a new Barnes and Noble, so that's my next plan of attack. Like we just got it, so I'm like, all right, you're on my list. So and then there's
Wow, a new Barnes and Noble. Gee whiz!
they did.
I thought they were
I know.
closing more stores than opening stores these days. But
Yeah. Well, we got one. We did have a Books a Million that's closing though, so that's
yeah.
unfortunate. Um, but yes, but definitely when that book comes out, I'll have some. I'll create a plan. I will plot out a plan that time. Be a plotter then.
All right. So, what's the best way? We got your website here. Is that the best place for people to contact you?
Yep. I also do have an author account on TikTok and Instagram if you want to reach out to there as well. Facebook, I have an author account as well. Yeah, you just type in like Seth Voorhees or author Voorhees, I'll pop up. I'm the only Voorhees. Story of my life, the only
Oh,
Seth or the
Jason.
only Voorhees,
There's a
other than Jason.
Jason out there, right?
Yeah,
But yeah.
Jason for sure. But absolutely, and I also like to encourage people too that I mean, yeah, obviously you can get my books online, Amazon, any bookstore. I mean, any online bookstore like Barnes and Noble and all of those others. But yeah, if you go into I always encourage everyone to go into your bookstore, ask your whoever's in charge, and say, hey, I really want these books from Seth Voorhees on the shelf. Can you order a few for us? And yeah, definitely word of mouth, get it out there.
And do you do a newsletter at all or anything like that?
I don't do a newsletter.
No?
I have thought about that. People
Yeah.
have keep telling me. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if my life is that interesting for a newsletter. That's the only thing. You know, I work. Though I guess if I was gonna, here's my fear, and this is what's happening with my TikTok account. We have a family rabbit. His name is Snowball, and he's very adorable. But he's taken over everything. So I wonder if I should just use him to advertise and market my books. Maybe he should be the newsletter, just the Snowball newsletter, and there can just be little blips of my books, and it could be like Snowball's advice, saying like, "Hey, buy these books. I loved them while I ate lettuce and chewed on my chew sticks," or I don't know. Maybe that's what I need to do. Yeah.
Who can resist a cute rabbit, right?
He's interesting. He's cute. He is adorable, little rabbit
As long as he isn't the rabbit from the Holy Grail, right?
Oh yes. Oh well, I'm going to tell you right now. That's already a post on one of my TikToks. It's him and one of the quotes from Monty Python where they're talking about what is it? The scene where he's like, "That's the most cruel varmint. Look at his teeth. Look at the bones." Oh yes, that's one of the first posts I ever did with him. I'm like, we got to do him and Monty Python and the rabbit. Absolutely.
Oh yes, I could talk about Monty Python all
Oh,
day.
I love Monty Python.
Yeah. my wife goes, that's it's so stupid. It's like, well, that's the
Yeah,
idea, right? It's just
yeah,
the absolute most bizarre thing you can think of is exactly
yeah,
what they usually did.
yeah. It's either really stupid or it's so smart you don't understand why it's funny because it's so smart, and you have to think about it too. Yeah, there's. It's
Well, the
like,
bicycle repairman is still one of my favorite ones as
yeah,
well. You know,
yeah.
he's
The dead parrot sketch is mine. I love the dead
the
parrot
dead
sketch.
parrot one
Oh,
is really good.
that was so funny. Oh, yeah. The dead parrot sketch is
He's
brilliant.
just sleeping. He's
Yeah, he's
he's just
pining for the
resting.
fields. Pining for the fields. What kind of rubbish is that?
Oh man.
Anyway.
Well, we will wrap up. Was there anything else you need to plug or throw out there?
No, just like I said, go to bookstores and ask them to carry my books for me because I
Yeah.
can't talk to everyone in the country. So I'm going to let you be my army.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Seth. It was great talking with you. You made it
Nice
through
talking to
two. Do
you.
you have another one after this?
No, no, you're my last one. No, absolutely.
Two in one day.
Done.
That's pretty good.
That's all right. Better than none. So,
Yeah, that's right.
yeah.
You got to talk to. This was your therapy for today, right? 2 hours.
That's right. I got to talk about myself for a little bit too, which
That's
is
right.
always fun. It's always fun.
Well, I will let you go. I was going to send you the information on the Deadwood event that we do every year in the middle of June.
Yes.
So it might be a
Yes.
good event for you to check out in the future. There may be openings this year if you wanted to go, but if
Okay.
not, keep it in mind. But
Yeah, I'll definitely keep it in mind.
yeah, great talking with you. And we will
Right.
be in Spearfish in June for the
Hopefully it
event.
rains.
So
Hopefully it
I'll
rains and it's
holler out
green.
your name and see if
Yes, absolutely. Hopefully.
Rapid City is about what 60, 70 miles or whatever.
45 miles.
Is
Yeah.
it 45? Yeah. On the interstate.
Everyone in the Black Hills, we consider ourselves one community, so it's like, whatever. Like Rapid, Spearfish, Whitewood, Deadwood, Wall, we're all just like, we're all one community. We don't care. We don't count. We're not locals. We're all the same area.
Well, hopefully I'll get some rain here before we come out there, so we don't have to worry about starting any fires when we're out.
Yeah, that's our worry. That's for sure.
Yeah, so,
We already had a grass fire. We've already had one.
yeah.
Yeah,
All
fortunately.
right. Well, thank you, Seth. Take care, and hopefully we'll run into you down the road.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Have a good
All right. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you being on. The show now is not only on YouTube, it's also on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, all those things. So you can check out all the shows. I think this was episode 62. So there's a bunch of great authors, including Seth. I have another South Dakota author. It's going to be a few weeks because we're going to be in Tucson, leaving for Tucson this weekend for the Tucson Festival Books. And Charles, a lot of her books are South Dakota based stories. And every time we go to South Dakota, we always see her books in various stores and stuff. So we're going to have her on. It's going to be the 23rd at 6 p.m. in March, and we will go then. But we will talk to you then in a few weeks. Take care.